All right, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about course options. So if you don't remember where to find that, remember when you're inside of your course, directly underneath your course picture is the course options menu. Okay, so this is where we're going to actually start doing some special stuff with our course. So if I click on course options, you're going to see these different items in here. Okay, I'm going to go through each one of them individually and tell you what each one is and kind of show you how they work. The first one's view course as. This option allows you to view your course, your class setup, as one of your students. So you get to see what they see. So if I just click on this button, I'm going to get a list of members. Now remember, this is a training class, so I only added one fake member here. In your class, you're going to have a lot of members, so you can adjust. Chances are, unless you set up assignments specifically for individual students, which you can do, you're going to, no matter who you pick, it's going to look the same. So we're going to go ahead and click on Darth Vader here. And right up at the top, you see this is how your course looks to Darth Vader. This is important because when I click on items inside of my course, at some point this will go away. When it does, please note you're back in as an administrator. You don't see what the student sees any longer. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But notice right away down the left side, I've lost a lot of options that I had before. That's because students don't see everything a teacher would see. But by default, we see the same materials page. And again, like I said in the previous video, this is not laid out well. But I can click on an assignment and I can see exactly what it tells them that they need to do. I can also play the videos and see everything that a student would see. If I jump back to materials here again and I go to my quiz, you'll see I see that I need to take a quiz here, and it says I can only make one attempt. Right here it says start new attempt. Now notice that does not work. It's because there's another way to see a test or quiz and see what a student would see besides this. The only thing this is going to allow you to do is see that it is available for the students. Okay? If I go down to a blog post, you see an example of what the students will see when they see your discussion that's up. Now, this is called discussions, not blog posts. We'll go into these more depth later. But this is what they get. They get a chapter 12, it's the title, a description, okay? And then they get their option to write in their comments here. This is what the students are going to see. Now, in the next video after this one, we're going to start talking about this WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, and the options inside of here. But for now, just know this is what it looks like for your students. Now, besides materials, I can go down and see any updates I would have in the course. So I can see here's an update. I can see my grades, my attendance, and the members of the class. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting. So right here you can see this shield icon means that that's the teacher, that's the admin. But if I was to click on this app is, I'm not actually a student, I'm viewing it as a student. So if I click on this app, notice the colors changed. This says I need to do a single sign-on. That's because I have to set that up. But notice that right now I see a full list of options that weren't there before. And up top, that bar that says I was viewing as Darth Vader is gone. I am back in as a course administrator. That's why course options is here, and I have this view course as. So pay attention to that as you're working through the view course as to see what your students are going to see. Keep in mind that if you click on apps and some other items, you may bounce out. You're going to lose that message up top, and again, I'll show you what that looks like. You're going to lose this message up top, and you're going to end up back in the instructor screen. Now, if you intentionally want to go back to the instructor screen, just go to back to course. That will kick you out of the student view and you will be back to begin with. All right. The next thing we need to cover under course options is send message. If I click send message, this is a way that I can send a message to all of the students in the class or all of the members of the class, which would include students and teachers or admins in this case at once. So in this drop down box, you know by default I got all members. That's all teachers or admins and all students. I can also choose just admins. So this would be yourself and any other co-teacher you have. So an intervention specialist, a substitute teacher if they're added into Schoology, a anybody else that you might have working with you in the classroom. They would need a Schoology account to be set up as an admin, and later on I'll show you how to set this up yourself. But please note, any admin would fall under this category, any teacher. Members is your students. That's all the students in your class. So you got those options. Once you select who this is going to, let's just put it back to all members. You want to type in a subject. You'll notice these little stars mean you have to put something in there. That's because it's required. Most computer programs, by default, if there's no subject in the subject category, will assume the email that you're sending is spam. And because this will send an email to the student and staff members' Gmail account as well as their Schoology account, you don't want it coming across as spam. So these asterisks means you have to put something in here. So we can just send a test message, and then we put in our body of our message. This is a test. Now notice there's no formatting options inside of here. I can't format the text. It's just a plain text email. I can, however, do these items listed below. The file button allows you to find a file on your computer. You can navigate anywhere you want. You can click on the file and select choose, and you can upload a file to be sent as an attachment with the email. I'm going to delete that. You can also send a link. So you notice this link embed code. I can copy an embed code or a link from another website. So in this case, I could open up a new browser, go to YouTube, find a video, and I'm just clicking on one. So please, if you're following along, don't just assume that I picked this video out for some specific purpose. It's just a random video. I can copy and paste that URL in there. I can give it a title if I want. I'm just going to say PlayStation. Hit attach, and now I'll get a link to a YouTube video. I'm going to close that. I can also click the resources, and this will pull any file. I can choose any file from my resources. Again, we'll cover this in a later section. If you've already watched that video, you know what I'm talking about, but if not, we'll cover it later. But we can pull any of my files from my resources or my classroom file cabinet and post in with the email as well. Or I can choose the final option, which is add an audio or a video and audio recording. This will allow me to use the webcam on my computer and the built-in mic to go ahead and record a video and send that along as an email as well. Once I'm done, I can click send. That message will go to all of the students. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't really have any real students, and I don't really want to send that email anyways. Back at course options, there are now 5 other options right here. Now here's the secret. All of these buttons take you to almost the exact same place. All right, so you can click if you forget which one you actually need to be in and you select one of these, don't freak out if it's the wrong one. You're going to see all of them anyways. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Edit info, edit privacy, external tools, moderate post, and recycle bin. I'm going to click on the top one here, edit info. Keep in mind the other ones that are here. All right, I'm going to click edit info. Notice I get taken to this edit info screen. At the top I get details, privacy, external tools, moderate, recycle bin. Those are the exact same boxes you would have saw before. So edit info takes me to info. I'm going to bounce back real quick. Notice if I go down to the edit privacy, it takes me to privacy. Bounce back, go to edit external tools, it goes to external tools. Same thing for moderate and recycle bin. So all of them take you to this series of tabs. All right, so let's cover what each tab does. The info button is information about your class. Now here is a very important piece of information. Unless you have a specific reason to do so, please do not change this information. You can change the course name. These are pulled from Dazzle, so if you get something that says Math 1, Math 2, and it doesn't make sense to you, you might go in here and say Math 6th period, or 3rd grade math class green. You might change that. That's fine. But please, please, please leave the section name and the rest of this information below as is, as set up by Dazzle, because there are some important information here. For instance, the grading periods. If you don't have the right ones checked, your grades won't sync properly. Your grades, your assignments won't even be graded properly, and some classes or assignments may not show up. So leave all this alone. If you need to change a name, this is where you can do it. Class info, you can go into course name, change name. That will not affect anything. Now it will change the name for all sections. So in Dazzle, if they set you up as math and they do section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, for instance, period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, and you do green, blue, red, orange, or whatever it is, it will change the name to each of these to the same. Okay? If you need help with this, contact your IT department. We will help you get all of this set up so that it looks the way you want it to look. Okay? Details. Details just allows you to put in a description of your class, a location, and what days and times it meets. This is really more designed for a large building or a large school with multiple buildings, or a college campus where you might be going from one department to another department. Okay, this doesn't really work very well in our school. We're a self-contained school, so it's not really needed, but you can put a description of your class if you want to. The privacy option is very important. Now, the top settings are all set by the IT administrator. These you really don't need to mess with. Just assume that we know what we're doing and these are set up correctly. Now, at the bottom, these are set up by you. Okay, you'll see the default settings here. This is the way it's defaulted to, but you might want to change these. For post-course updates, this allows you to decide who gets to post updates on your course. So this is the Updates tab. Now, we covered that in previous videos and we'll cover it more in depth later, but keep a note, this is when you say, hey, there's a test due tomorrow, or homework assignment tonight. Who do you want to be able to post those? Just the admins, which is all the teachers and co-teachers, or everyone? Do you want students to be able to say there's a test tomorrow in the course updates, or hey, I got a question here? That's up for you to decide what you want to do. Comments on course updates. Now, this is when you post this to say, hey, there's a test due tomorrow. Do you want the students to be able to provide feedback? Now, if you say, how did you like the game last night, and you want the students to be able to respond, you need to make sure all members is checked. Otherwise, you don't want them to respond. You say course admin. Now, keep in mind, this can be changed at any point in time that you want. So if you find that you set this feature wrong and you want to go back and change it, then you can always go back and change it. Edit discussion responses. This is, are they allowed to edit their own discussion? So if you post a blog, in this case it's called discussions, if you post one of those and ask the kids a question, are you going to allow them to go back and edit their response after they posted a question? Or do you want only the admins to be able to edit those? That's up to you. Notice if I hover over these question marks, it actually gives me just a brief description of what these items are. So if you're ever curious, let me know. If you ever see a setting, like I said up here, assume I know what I'm doing and these are right. But if you ever see something that you question, feel free to shoot me an email, let me know, or let your IT director know, and we can either explain to you why we did it this way, or maybe we can listen to you and maybe we need to change something. Okay? Down at the bottom, we got page visitor settings. Are you going to allow anonymous member names? And do you want to hide comments in post? Okay? I would leave these blank. We don't really have too many parents and visitors allowed to actually do things in our class. So for now, leave them blank. You can go back in and change them if you need to. Default landing page. Okay, we discussed this in the previous video, but When you come into a course the very first time, and every time you come into a course, it's going to take you to one of two places, the materials page or the updates page. Now, if you remember, materials is all the assignments that you have posted in the class. If you want them to see that first, that's where you want them to go. I tend to not like that because I assume it's like a college syllabus. If you see everything at once, you get overwhelmed. So I like them to go to the updates first. That way, the first thing they see is what you're telling them to do, not the materials. But that is entirely up to you. You may have a different opinion. You may want to do it different. That's perfectly fine. This is where you're going to change that. Once you change that, you go ahead and hit Save Changes to lock those changes in. Okay? External tools. These are tools or external programs that are set up by the IT department. They do change over time. We can add and remove apps from this. If you see one that you want or need, let us know and we'll work through it for you. We're going to skip this item here because we're not really going to deal with it. Moderate. If you turn on that you want to enable moderation, that means when someone makes a post, it's going to ask you to verify it's okay before it actually posts to the public. Now, that is entirely up to you. I probably wouldn't do that unless I had a problem with my class or a problem with a student. You typically don't want to moderate every single comment on a class. It's just too time consuming. But if you need to do that, that is there. And recycling bin. If you delete an item from your materials folder, it's going to show up here. Okay, so you'll see the item that was deleted, the date and time it was deleted, and who deleted it. If you click the gear icon, this will allow you to restore that item to a folder or a class. Okay, that's it for the courses. I'm going to click on the breadcrumb, take me back here. That is it for the course options. You notice I covered all of these pieces here. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out to me, let me know, but that is course options. In the next video, we're going to start looking at updates. We're going to focus mainly on this WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, but we'll cover the updates section in the next video. Thank you.